severe internal vibration, completely bedbound, dysautonomia and POTS and, just all kinds of things. That's how much I still wanted to die. I just did not want to be here. And I did die 3 times, actually. You couldn't get any closer to death than me. I just lost all faith. What did I do to deserve this? It grew a strong hate towards God, actually. It was strong. I felt the presence come back. God is with me. I don't know what reasons this happened to me for. I don't know why, but there are reasons.
Hey guys, so today we have a really awesome, crazy, deep testimony from one of my coaching clients, Michelle. So I'm really excited. I want to give a quick trigger warning. I hate saying like trigger warning, I hate that word, but honestly, I just want to say that we do discuss a lot in this interview today, including suicide attempt. So I just want to throw that out there. But I also want to encourage you. This is a story filled with hope. This is not a story of doom and gloom, but there's a lot of realness in this story. So let me pass it to Michelle. Introduce yourself, and let's just take it from there. Tell us your story, and then throughout that, I'm gonna go and kind of ask you questions and probe or whatever. But let's just be real and chat.
Hi, Emily. Hi, I'm really excited to be here and tell my story. Um, I'm just here because I want to help people and how much you've helped me as well. Because I thought I was hopeless, and I don't believe that anybody's hopeless. I think that we can all get out of this and get on with our lives. Just take some work, some hard work.
Absolutely.
So I got all my notes here,
Yeah,
and
take your
let's see.
time.
I might forget a lot, but the clear points that I've gotten written down. So actually, like my perfect storm started 11 years ago. I had a perfect storm then. I don't know if I would call it a perfect storm, but I've always had OCD, things like that, my whole life. And sometimes when it got a little unruly and hard to handle, I would go to the doctor and get a antidepressant or something because I didn't really realize that I had OCD at the time. I just knew that I had some weird thoughts and some weird habits, and I didn't know exactly what it was. And I took an antidepressant, and a few hours later I was in the emergency room because my blood pressure was so high. And it just reacted to me right away. And they say serotonin syndrome, whatever. I'm not really sure. I didn't really find out exactly what happened to me until a few years later. But after that, a few days later, I stopped sleeping and started pacing, which I know that I had akathisia from this antidepressant. And of course, I was multi-drug then because I just thought, oh my gosh, she's crazy. Something happened to her. We don't know. I don't know what happened. I just know that I wasn't right and I couldn't sit down. And it took me a while to get over that. I quit all the drugs. I went back to work and I just got better somehow. I don't know how I got better. And it was a few years later that I found out it was indeed akathisia and it was caused by the antidepressant that I took.
Mhm.
And I was totally traumatized by that, completely traumatized because, you're normal one day and the next day you're just not, your whole system has turned on you. And um, I got a therapist at that time. I had been with her for 7 years, learned that I had OCD, was coping well, had a really nice job, living my life. And my mother got sick. And I'm moving up to it because I want people to understand that there is that perfect storm.
The details.
So,
Yeah, I know I used to listen to these when I was in the trenches, and I would I would listen to them for an unhealthy amount of time each day. So it's really helpful to share the details.
yeah. So my mom was really sick and I worked a ton of hours. and she couldn't be alone. So I would get up early in the morning. And at that time, I was walking probably 5 or 6 miles a day as well. So I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, walk my 4 or 5 miles, whatever it was that day, go and see my mom, take care of her needs, go to work, go back to my mom's house, make sure that she was okay. And at that time, I was also running my daughter back and forth to college and things like that. It was just really, really busy, stressed out. I've always had anxiety. I've always had, you know, functioning anxiety. Um, and I was just really, really busy. And COVID hit, and my mom was still sick, and I was doing things for her, and she got sicker and sicker and sicker. And my mom had died, and my daughter had graduated. And I decided, well, I'm going to quit my career because I've worked every weekend, every holiday, um, missed so many things in my life that I couldn't get, back. Couldn't attend anything because weekends were a big thing in the career path that I was on. So I quit my job as well. And this was during, I think COVID had gone by. I don't know when COVID started. I can't remember, but my perfect storm happened in 2022. So I quit my job and I was going to go to college, and I hadn't decided on where I was going to go, but I started getting very depressed sitting at home,
Yeah.
and just more and more stopped exercising, stopped doing all of these things. And I think it's because I was going 100 miles an hour to nothing. And I thought that that would be great. It was not great for me. So I decided that I would get just a waitressing job part time. And I was literally there 2 nights and I got COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So this was March 1st, or
Okay.
actually 3rd. I got COVID. I learned that I had COVID. And I wasn't hardly sick at all. Just a fever, just felt tired, whatever. And I wasn't afraid of COVID. And I just want to put that out there because people will say, oh, well, you were afraid of COVID. You did, things like that. And I wasn't. I never got vaccinated. I was not afraid of it. I didn't want it.
Yeah.
But I figured, well, I'm an age, I exercise, I'm healthy. I don't need to worry about it. So, but I did end up getting COVID. And 10 days later, my life completely changed. Completely. Um, excuse me. I got my first adrenaline dump that night, and it almost picked me up off the bed, literally. I had some dizziness and ringing in the ears before that, but just nothing major. I lost my taste and smell, but it was nothing more than a cold, in my opinion. But that 10th day, I got my first adrenaline dump, and it was shocking. I didn't even know what it was at first. It just picked me up off my bed. And the next day, I just felt off, with some DPDR. I just felt like, what is happening here? What is happening to me? I just didn't feel normal. I felt just not normal. Like things weren't real. And I knew what that was because 11 years ago, I had that with my first, you know, nervous system problem. So I thought, okay, this is what this is. This is what this is. But things just got worse and worse and worse over time. Um, I stopped sleeping. I stopped. I had such severe brain fog that I would walk into a room and I had no clue why I was even there. Um, People were asking me questions. I couldn't answer the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just a severe brain fog. And then the anxiety started, and the insomnia. It was horrible. I could not sleep. And even if I did sleep, I felt like I didn't sleep at all. I would
Yep.
sleep a couple of hours. It's, that light sleep that you get, and you just wake up and you felt like you haven't slept at all. And
Mm-hmm.
I started hitting the groups, the COVID groups, which I don't suggest anybody do that. So I
Yeah.
hit these groups, and all of this felt very similar to what happened 11 years ago, but the same thing. And I thought, well, I hadn't taken any drugs. I don't know why this is happening. And I didn't know that this was happening to people. I had no clue at all. And I hit the groups, and all there was horror stories on there. Doom and gloom, and you are going to be damaged, and you're going to have chronic fatigue for the rest of your life, and dysautonomia and POTS and, just all kinds of things. And when you look those things up, they're really, really scary on Google. So yes, I'm Googling, I'm hitting the groups, scaring myself more and more each second. And then then I just stopped sleeping completely. I stopped sleeping. I had panic, anxiety, depersonalization, derealization, tremors, and then twitching started. I had these weird fasciculations all over my body. Of course, I Googled that and I thought, oh my gosh, I have Parkinson's. I have ALS.
Yeah.
I have this known disease that's going to kill me. And plus, going through my first storm 11 years ago, I was horrified because I knew what it meant. I knew that it was going to take a while. I knew how much suffering that I was going to go through. I just knew it because when your nervous system doesn't work, and people call it anxiety, but it's not. It's flight or fight. It's your nervous system is totally dysregulated, and the things that you use in your body, like heart rate, muscles, blood, temperature, all of the things that you can't control, stop working
Mhm.
properly.
Yeah. Mhm.
But I didn't know any of that. I just thought, okay, I'm doomed. I'm doomed. My family, they didn't really know what to do with me. They were just like, she's not sleeping. She, she can't answer questions. I was uncoordinated. I had all kinds of issues. And I would go to the doctors and they're like, oh, this is just anxiety.
Mhm.
And this is COVID. We don't know what it's going to do to you. We don't know if this is ever going to go away.
Or it could
And I
get
thought,
worse.
right.
Lots-
Or it could get worse. Yeah. You might not ever get out of your bed. I mean, I had these severe internal vibration. It felt like you were laying next to, I'm all I could think of was like a generator, this huge generator, and the whole floor is just vibrating. And that was throughout my whole body, and it was constant, like 24/7. I thought I would lose my mind.
Mhm.
And 3 or 4 months had passed. And I was still in the same. I wasn't functioning. I could not function. I could not take care of myself. Um, I couldn't do anything. I was a complete mess. I was hurting my family. They didn't know what to do with me. And I was horrified to take drugs again because of what happened to me 11 years ago. And I thought, I can't take these drugs. They're like, you need antidepressants, you need this, you need that. And I refused to take them because I thought, I'm going to make it worse. I feel like I'm going to make it worse if I take these things. I mean, they do help some people, but I had a severe reaction to them and I just wasn't interested in taking them. And it got really, really low in my life. I I had no idea what to do. And the more I searched on the groups, the more hopeless and the more devastated I got. And I made a plan to just end it all. I said, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be like this. This is my second storm. It took me over a year to get over it last time. Oh, and I still wasn't normal for a very long time after that. It took a while. And I thought, I can't do this again. I cannot do this again. Um, so I did attempt my life severely. And obviously, I was found. And I was helicoptered to another state because that's how severe it was. And I was on life support for a while. I ended up having to get cardiovascular surgery from it. I made plans. I Googled. I, everything was just, I was done. I was out and I wanted the job done. I did not want to be here anymore. I'm like, I need a life. yes, I'm alive, but this is not the quality of life because I'm very independent. But I can't live like this. I can't do it. So, I was hospitalized there for probably a month, put on antidepressants and Klonopin. I was told that I had neural inflammation. Um, I really didn't care what they did to me at that point in time. I woke up with several staples in my body from cardiovascular surgery. I woke up, I was completely more traumatized than I ever was before. Because, for one, I was shocked that I woke up. Um, I was told that I was lucky. I didn't feel lucky at all. I thought,
Yeah.
how could this happen? Like, why am I here?
Mm.
But anyway, I was told that I had neural inflammation. I was told when I got home to watch the movie Brain on Fire,
Mm.
and they don't know what to do with me because COVID, they don't know what it does to your brain. They don't know what it does to your body. It was, early, and they sent me home on these drugs, on these antidepressants and these Klonopin. And
And this
when I
was
got home,
2023 or 20.
2022. This was 4 months after I got COVID. Yeah, I didn't last very long because I knew what this was. I knew that it was going to take, or I knew that part, but I didn't know what COVID did to me. Um,
Mm.
so I got home and I'm worse than I ever was before. Um, excuse me. Completely bedbound. When I stood up, I shook so bad that I couldn't grab things. I was uncoordinated. I could hardly stand up. Um, I had to have a nurse come to my house a couple of times a day for wound care because I refused to take care of myself. The
Mm.
drugs that they had me on actually made me worse. They did help me sleep, but that was about it. But they actually made me worse. Um, and I was just completely devastated and still wanted to die at that point. I thought, ha- and lost all faith in God, all faith in humanity, and thought, what did I do to deserve this? What did I do? And then it came time to, I was on these drugs, these benzodiazepines that they stuck me on. And they warned me in the hospital that I shouldn't take them for any longer than 2 weeks. Take them, they're just not good for you. They're hard to get off because your body can become dependent on them. But I thought at that point, I don't care. They kind of kept me on them because I was such a mess. I mean, I would stand up and my heart rate would go to over 200. My feet were purple. My legs were purple. I had molting in my skin. I'd lost a ton of weight. They were feeding me nutritious shakes because I was like skin and bones. I don't have that problem now. It's all came back plus more. But anyways, I was skin and bones, and I ended up getting an infection in my leg,
Mm.
and I had to have wound care. So they had to come to my house and take care of all of that, and they gave me several antibiotics to take. I never took a one. That's how much I still wanted to die. I just did not want to be here. I lived through that. I got through that, and then I hit the drug groups. This is next. I
Oh
hit
yeah.
the benzo groups, and I thought I'd been on them, oh gosh, maybe 6 or 7 months at that point. And I hit those groups, and I thought, well, I need to get off these benzos and all of them, because honestly, they weren't helping me at all whatsoever. And probably because it was my attitude too. I just did not want to be here still at that time. And I hit the groups. I have to go back. They also put me in physical therapy because my coordination was so bad. They said something about like functional neurological type of stuff. I couldn't get up off the floor. I couldn't walk in a straight line. I had no coordination to anything at all. And I don't know if that was the drugs, but I had a little bit of that before. I attempted my life and it got really, really bad afterwards. So I'm assuming it's, the perfect storm. I'm assuming that's what happened. But I hit those groups, the benzo groups, and scared the living crap out of myself. Just the horror stories. And God bless them all, but it's not a healthy place to be at all.
Yeah.
Had to come off the benzodiazepines. It took me, I was on them 6 or 7 months, and I think I tapered for 6 or 7 months. I can't recall. I got off the antidepressant that I was on. But while I was in those benzo groups, a friend of mine was telling me about DNRS. She ended up getting COVID, same thing. She's a really good friend and did DNRS, which is a brain retraining program. And, same kind of things happened to her, not like me, but, she had some issues from COVID. And I got on these groups. At first, I looked like MECFS, and these groups came up. I looked it up on YouTube, and they were talking about brain retraining. And I thought, oh my gosh, what is this brain retraining stuff? And they were listing symptoms off of what, there were many people with long COVID and, a flu or whatever that caused their dysregulation. Same symptoms as like benzo withdrawal and nervous system stuff that I had no clue what it was. And so I got into that. But I had a really hard time following that because they weren't anxious like me. They were not, meditation. There was no sitting down to meditate. There was no sitting down to do any of those things. And I got my hands in too many of those type programs. The first thing that popped out to me, I was like, oh my God, this is going to cure me. This is going to cure me. Um, and went to this program and that program and DNRS and didn't do the work hardly in any of them because I wasn't able to. I was too anxious. And I just thought I was different from those people. I think we're all different, but I couldn't understand the anxiety. They did not have that I knew of, the anxiety like I did. Like that had calmed down for them and then they were completely bedbound. And I'm like, I have both of those things. The anxiety's not going away. And I was doing those things, the meditation, this brain retraining, all that stuff to get rid of symptoms. See, I didn't understand the whole concept. And then I found Emilee on Dr. Groisman's group
Oh, wow. Okay.
and you. And I watched your video and I thought, what is that? What is that? Okay, she has everything that I had. She had COVID. What is
Mhm.
happening? And then I got on your group for a while. And at that time, like I said, I was still not really wanting to be here. I might have had some hope because I was still looking, but
Yeah.
um, I got into your group and I started watching all of your videos that you put out and got into a few more other programs, but not really buying what you were saying, not really buying it, honestly.
I remember seeing your name in the group for a long time before you filled out the coaching application. And then I was like, Michelle, like, I've seen this name for a long time, you know? So
Hmm.
yeah, keep going.
Yeah, not really buying into what you were saying. And there was another group that did help me a bit. And like I learned how to do visualizations and things like that. And I still do it, but they weren't helping me then. And I didn't know why until I found you.
Mm.
So I made, I want to make sure that I didn't miss anything. I found you and I finally decided, you know what? I can't take this anymore. I hadn't showered for a week. I had brushed my teeth. I hadn't brushed my hair. I was a complete train wreck. And I thought, I can't stay like this. I don't know what to do. I've tried all these other things. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And I made my first coaching call with you. And as you could probably remember, I was a mess. I
That's
just,
amazing. Yeah, yeah. I remember that was,
and
yeah.
so you sent me your videos and I learned ideal and the 5Fing and got into your coaching group. And really applied the work. And I can't even remember. I haven't been in your maybe what? How many months have I been in there? I
Not
can't.
not long, like considering where you started and where you're at, to be honest. Because like
Right.
I'm the last person to sit here and preach that recovery is quick. Recovery is not quick.
Mm-mm.
The people out there that are like, I can guarantee you in 3 months, it's like, no, they're lying. That's not true. It takes time. It's a journey. It's a transformation process. But I feel like where you're at and where you started has been a miracle, to be honest.
Yeah, me
In the
too.
amount of time. I can't think of exactly how long it's been, but it's been miraculous to watch, honestly.
Yeah. So I got on the coaching groups and Ideal became my best friend, literally.
Mhm.
And I had to do it every second of every single day. I had to do it.
Yeah.
2 minutes would pass and I would get these because I had OCD looping thoughts as well. And just like a horror show going on in my mind and all of the things that I'd been through and the trauma and, family and not working and all of it was just all coming down on me. But Ideal became my best friend. Ideal became my best friend. Every second of every single day, I idealed.
Yep.
This is just my nervous system. And I thought at first, I said, I can't say I want them to get stronger, my sensations. I can't say that.
Hmm.
I thought, you're crazy. You are crazy. I can't do this. But then I noticed after a month or so of doing this, like you're the one that inspired me, like get on your treadmill. You need to be on your treadmill. You have to start moving. You have to, start doing these things. So I would get on my treadmill and I would listen to your videos every morning, the 5Fing and Ideal. Every morning I would get on my treadmill and I would listen to those videos every single morning. I had papers all around my house that I wrote out, Ideal, and what I would say to myself. Um, all of it. It was, I dove in. I thought I have nothing else to lose. And when I watched your story, I thought, if she can do this, because a lot of the things you had, I had, you know, and she was pretty bad too. She was pretty bad too. And I thought, I can do this. And eventually, and I continued to do with my other program, doing the visualization and stuff. But now I know why those things didn't work because I was doing them to get rid of sensations and I wasn't living my life. I was waiting for those sensations to go away and to start living my life. And you told me, no, you have to get up and have to start living your life now. You have to start doing things with the sensations. And I thought, I can't do it, but I started doing it. And they started to become easier and easier. I mean, I'm not 100% healed yet. I'm probably 50 to 60% better than I was, which is huge progress, huge. So I'll let you ask me some questions because I feel like I've been babbling on forever and
Oh,
maybe I forgot something.
one, you're an amazing storyteller. I feel like when I even tell my story now, it's like I start to kind of black out. Like I'm just like, oh my gosh, you know? So yeah, you did amazing at sharing details and stuff. I would say a few things. So the first thing I remember, well, one, definitely when you joined the group, I remember your biggest hang up for a long time was still like, I am different, I am different, They don't have, I
Yes.
think it was the internal tremors was like your big one that you're stuck on, if I believe correctly. And you were like, man, like, but they don't have the exact same symptom. I'm like, no, you gotta like whatever you focus on grows. And I remember when I was recovering, someone told me something along the lines of like, it could be an ingrown toenail or it could be derealization. It doesn't matter, wherever you focus on. And I was like, "Ugh, what the heck, you know? But it's so true. And it's like whatever you focus on becomes your thing. And so for some people, they talk about, GI issues. I'm like, man, I'll throw up all day before I will
Yeah.
deal with some other stuff I dealt with. But for
Yes.
they were like, that derealization, no problem. I can drive a car, I can do this. So it's definitely like whatever you focus on grows. And so I think that was a big hurdle that you had to get past. But you were incredible at just doing it, like just doing it. And even hearing where the place that you were at of still like not even wanting to be here in the same time frame that you started that, for you to move forward with the dedication that you did is incredible, actually. Nothing short of a miracle. Seriously, like your whole everything between you waking up from the attempt to starting this at the place that you were in with the, I don't want to call it motivation, but dedication, because motivation doesn't exist in this situation.
No.
But dedication is a miracle. And also too, I remember when we met, I don't I really try not to like cry on one-on-ones and stuff. Like it's just
Yeah.
feels
We
like
are both crying.
but but I remember, I mean, you're telling your story and I was like, holy crap. And what really got me, I'll never forget, you said something on the lines of like, um, I've done so much to my family, and I was like, hold on, the enemy has done this to you and to your family. Like it was just, I have chills, like listen, just thinking about it again. But I remember thinking, this woman is so entrenched with hopelessness and depression and fear and just lies from, I'm just like getting emotional, but lies from the enemy. And that is not okay, you know? And so I think, yes, nervous system obviously is what I teach, but from a biblical perspective, Satan, the Bible says, comes to steal, kill, destroy. Like literally hates us, hates our life, hates our families, hates us having hope. And out of everyone I've ever met with one-on-one, I so clearly saw like just this cloud of lies and depression and hopelessness. And watching God start to turn that around was insane. So tell me that, like, where were you at spiritually? What did that all look like?
I never was one that, I didn't go to church every Sunday. I didn't, but I believed. I believe that's why I'm here. I shouldn't be here. I was told I shouldn't be here. My attempt was significant. You couldn't get any, and I did die 3 times, actually. You couldn't get any closer to death than me. I just lost all faith. Like before, yes, I would pray. I would, believe that my mother was looking at me after me and my mom was with God. And, I always had a strong faith that he was there and things happen for a reason, right? And when this happened, I thought to myself, I am a good person. I I'm a caring, kind person. I would do anything for anybody. I work hard. I've supported my family. I've raised 2 beautiful children. What did I do to deserve this? What did I do? And it grew a strong hate towards God, actually. It was strong.
But
I thought no God could do this to a person twice. Not only once, but twice.
Mhm.
And the weirdest thing, I was in my bathroom and I'd been doing the work for a little while. And I think I told you about this. And I felt the presence come back. Like I felt
Wow.
it come back. I thought God is with me. And I don't know how that happened. It just came over me and I thought God is with me. I don't know what reasons this happened to me for. I don't know why, but there are reasons. I don't know what it is yet, but I felt this presence come back and it took a long time. It took a couple of years, 2.5 years, because I'm going on 3. And this happened probably, I'm going to say 7 months ago. I was just so angry. I, I was so angry. And I thought, all these other people, they're walking around, living their lives.
Mhm.
I must have done something so horrible for this to happen to me, you know, and he's not looking out for me. And, I was even mad at my mom, and my mother's been dead for 5 years, 3 or 4 years. I'm like, why didn't you help me? It was just the way that I was thinking at the time. But yeah, I had no faith whatsoever. It just left. It left. No hope, no faith that anybody was looking out for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it is so easy to fall into that trap. And going back to like the groups and stuff, I think a lot of people on these groups are very well-meaning, but once you have the age of, 2025, I guess 2022, whatever, right? The age of social media, and that is the enemy's like stomping ground now, like to literally go in and it's like not only can you plant these seeds of doubt and horror and like just hopelessness, but now you have all these people that are now feeding on each other. And I was the same. I mean, I was looking at these stories and I was thinking, I'm done for. Like, am I going to turn out like them or them or them? They've had it for 45 years. Like, why would I come
Yeah.
to it, And there's no hope whatsoever. And I'm reading this book right now. I recommend to you actually. It's amazing, but it's called Living Fearlessly by Jamie Winship. I'll send you a copy.
Okay.
But I'll Amazon you one. But it's really good. And basically the whole point of the book is about identity. And it talks about how when we are walking in this identity that we agree with, right? So, like identity of fear, doubt, shame, guilt, hopelessness, worthlessness, whatever, we're unable to walk in the God-given identity that we have. And I think even where you're at recovery-wise, like this is what I'm figuring out years outside of the trenches anyway. But
Yeah.
figuring out like, man, like for me, it's like, what lies am I still agreeing with? Like, do I still have fear? Absolutely, I do. Am I still having chronic symptoms? No, thank God. But there's still, a layer of fear where I'm like, all right, what have I agreed with? What am I still agreeing with? How do I walk in this God-given identity, that God has for me? That's not fear and that's not whatever it may be. And so for you, I think going through that book is incredible. And all that to say, once we start agreeing with these lies, it's so hard to see God. It doesn't mean God's not there, but it's impossible for us, right? So God is there, but we're just caught up in this cycle, I guess you can say, of lies, and that can really cloud our judgment and give us no hope, right? Nothing good, whatever.
Hmm.
But I would say like as you continue to come out of this whole situation, you will see purpose. You will see transformation. And I, for myself, like, do I wish it had played out a little differently?
Yeah.
It would have been nice, right? But at the same time, it's like, man, I would not be the mother that I am today. I would not be the wife that I am today. I would not be able to even walk in this calling of helping people through this if I had not been through this. So like it sucks. But also, I can see the need for it because personally speaking, I had a lot of opportunity and I don't think God like did this to me to like teach me a lesson. I don't believe that at all, but I believe that God allowed it, right? Because he knew, okay, now's the time. Now's the time to transform. I was
Hmm.
stuck for a long time in rumination and even just like good stress, living at too fast of a pace, not resting, like just taking my body
Hmm.
on a trip that it didn't need to go down. And you with your mom
Yep.
helping, it's like it seems like a good thing, but you're also running yourself ragged and and I was
Hmm.
not walking with God constantly. That was not my life. You know what I mean? Like sure, I prayed, I went to church sometimes, but it was not like it wasn't day in and day out, okay, I'm giving my life to you, lead me. You know what I mean? So yeah, all that to say, like, so much will continue to come out of it. I'm excited for the rest of your journey. And I guess to close, like, do you have any tips, advice for people that are stuck right now? Or like,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a really good question because everybody wants to know, well, what do you do? What do you do? And my biggest thing is ideal.
yeah,
You have to learn to live with your symptoms as crappy as they are. You have to learn to do with them. And that was the hardest thing for me to understand. And I could hardly walk, you know. I mean, there were times that I crawled down my stairs, and this was before I met you. So there was a lot of things that I still had to work on. I wasn't exercising. I wasn't doing anything. I was laying on my couch just in total panic and thinking, doing my meditation, hoping that this was going to go away.
mhm,
You have to do ideal. You have to do it. You have to get up. You have to make sure that you're mindful about doing the ideal, not ignoring the symptoms, but acknowledging them and saying, okay, yes, this is what's happening. This is what's happening, but I can still do. I can
yeah,
still do doing those things. I can still do with anxiety. I can still do with panic, and among of all the other things. I mean, I think I counted like 41 symptoms that I had that
Wow.
it's just insane, physical symptoms as well. But doing ideal, and eventually you get that your brain picks it up. It's brain retraining. It's
Yeah,
brain retraining.
absolutely.
And I didn't understand that at first. But that's brain retraining. You're changing that circuit in your brain that's constantly going into that negative thought pattern. Your OCD thoughts, your looping thoughts, your doom thoughts are feeding everything. And then you're dropping more cortisol and adrenaline and everything in your body that you're listening to and believing. Ideal is the way to go. It is the only thing that got me out of this. It's the only thing that got me out of this. And now I know that I can move on, and you're starting to do some of the other things as well with the meditation and the somatics. And I've done visualizations for a long time, like I said, with another group, and they are really helping now because I feel joy when I do them, where before I did them because I wanted the symptoms to go away.
Exactly.
um, Ideal. You have to do it. You just follow what you say. It's the easiest, hardest thing that you will ever do.
Yeah.
Easiest, hardest thing you will ever do.
Yes, I know it's almost like too simple, like annoyingly simple,
Hmm.
and usually when people get in this boat, they're like, I need something fast and I need it to work quickly and I need it to work like I need
Yeah.
something basically. And so to just kind of like get back to your life without feeling ready, because you're never going to feel ready, right?
No.
Get back to your life alongside this. I mean, it feels next to impossible and it feels ridiculous. And it feels like, okay, I'm just going to tell myself like don't worry about the symptoms, move on. It's just your nervous system. Like it feels like mumbo jumbo, honestly. And that's why for a long time I didn't take this approach. And I felt like, okay, I'm going to go see a real doctor who knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like tell myself that I'm okay, right? But it's so true. And yeah, it's all about an order because it's like, are visualizations and meditation bad? No. Are they your
Mm-mm.
first step? Absolutely not. You know what I mean? Because yeah, when you approach it with your first step, it becomes a fix. You're focusing on symptoms, you're trying to get rid of them, you're not living your life. Whereas later on, you can use it like I started doing visualizations recently. Meditation's great, exercise is amazing, right? And so these things are good, but they're good to really just promote overall wellness, right? Well-being and, general stress reduction and not in the beginning when you can't sit still and you can't, you're
Right.
doing
Yeah.
with the wrong intention, basically. So in the beginning, it's normalcy. It's normalcy.
Yeah.
Integrating exercise because it's normal, not because it's going to fix you. Integrating, just literally doing the dishes, getting up, finding things that you used to normally do while you feel awful. And I'll say like that's actually part of the biggest positive takeaway for myself is the strength because most people don't have to do that, ever in their whole life.
Right.
Like it's I always joke, I'm like the two things I wish everyone had to go through for like a month are like serving tables,
Yeah.
and this, just for like a month. Like just having to like figure out how difficult it is to live your life and go about your day when you and everything in your body is screaming no. No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no. 'Cause yeah, like you said earlier, it's not anxiety. Like it is anxiety, but it's not anxiety. It's your body going into this state of chronic, real, measurable symptoms. It's not all in your head, but then the anxiety fuels the symptoms, which keeps the body
Hmm.
going and going. But yeah, I mean it's a real
That's what I didn't understand. That's what I needed to understand. And yeah, those are the five Fings, because the more you let those things, you have to acknowledge your thoughts. I was just like ignoring them, and they were getting stronger and stronger and stronger. But with five Fing, okay, you're thinking this, that's okay. It doesn't matter now. You go back to ideal. Okay, this is the nervous system. It can stay. It can get stronger. It doesn't matter. Move on. And that's
Yep.
what I did. I had them taped all over my refrigerator and my bathroom mirror, on my lamps, on my coffee table. They were everywhere. Ideal.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Awesome. I love that.
So, yeah.
That's Well, that's amazing. You're amazing. Thank you for sharing that. That's no words, honestly, for your story. You're a miracle. I'm so happy for you. I know it's still a journey. I am still on the journey. It is what it is, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm super happy for you, and I'm excited to maybe we'll do like a follow-up in a few months.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that would be fun. Can I just add in one more
Absolutely.
thing while I'm doing this? Um, as I was just telling you before we got onto this phone call, that I was in my local market here, and I live in a small community, and part of the fire department was here, volunteer fire department. A gentleman was in there, and he came upon me and asked me how I was doing, and he said, "Well, I didn't know what happened to you. You looked really normal when I saw you before walking down the street." And that really hit to home because um, I thought, okay, I looked normal. I just want people to know that just because somebody looks normal doesn't mean there's not a lot going on inside, and things that you can't control, with your automatic nervous system. And there is hope. I've never been so low in my life. Um, and there's hope. People can get better and they do get better. Emilee's proof, and she had it bad too. And if you're that low, and this is why I share my story, if you're that low, if I had somebody that was that low, or if I knew about this stuff, I don't think that I would have done what I did. But that's why I came on. It wasn't easy to share all those things, to put your whole life out there. But that's why I came on, because there is hope. You just have to do the work. The work is hard. It's easy, but it's hard. So, but that's it.
Yep. Well, thank you again. You're genuinely one of the strongest people that I know. I'm so happy to see that you're not just run by lies anymore, honestly. And
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you because I know it's so hard. So, super proud of you. Thank you again. And
Thank you.
I hope this was a blessing.
It was. Thank you.